Because otherwise, yeah, not now, we'll do it later. And then you'll say something amazing.
Amazing, yes.
And
I
insightful.
say amazing things all the time.
I know.
I moved some of my smelly plants over to the fence line to keep deer away. All summer we've had 2 does and 2 babies. And
Living in the backwoods.
living in the backwoods just on the other side of our fence line. They watch the chickens, they nibble on greenery on the fence.
They take little siestas.
They do. They do. The baby spots are just starting to disappear, so they're about 3 months, going on 3 months.
Probably
perhaps.
born in April.
Yeah. So, so we saw a mama deer the other day in front of the truck, right by the fence, on the side fence where my garden is, and you had just put a pile for compost of the spent tomato plants with rotting tomatoes and green tomatoes and whatnot there. And so we don't know if she came that close because she picked up the scent of the tomatoes or not. But at any rate, we transferred some yarrow and rosemary and a couple pots of basil over on that fence line to let her know that those are smelly plants and she should not jump past that barrier. Whether that works or not, we'll find out.
The theory so far is that it has worked.
Yes.
You have not had deer within the fenced area of your yard.
No. So I'm still operating on that theory.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
As long as deer stay in the woods, you're okay.
They can come right up to the fence line. Just don't cross that border. So.
Okay, what's with your peppers?
Peppers are doing fantastically. Unfortunately, I've decided that I really don't like any of them enough to plant again.
Except the sweet peppers like Jimmy Nardello.
And shishito. All the other peppers, as you can see,
Let's go look at
are beautiful. They're doing very well, even though I have to water them every single day.
So you have these little tiny ones.
These are the sweetie drops, right?
Which have a little bit of heat.
Yeah, tiny bit of heat. This is habanada, I believe, which is a sweet pepper. They're turning orange, as you can see down here. Oh, there are some pretty ones. Okay.
But we tried them and they were just kind of blah.
They're ordinary peppers. They're if you had green bell peppers and yellow bell peppers and orange bell peppers, this is equivalent to that. Nothing fantastic.
And that's what you're looking for, fantastic.
I'm looking for that wow factor, and that just didn't have it. I had my hopes pinned on the sweet bonnets, which is a derivative of the Scotch bonnet. So you're supposed to have the fruity flavor without the heat. And again, it's okay. It's okay.
It's just, yeah, it's blah.
It's okay.
It's not really sweet.
It's not as sweet as the Jimmy Nardellos.
No.
And this is all peppers. That's all peppers over there. You know, mixed plants, mixed varieties, this whole area. And it seems like a whole lot of wasted real estate.
Well, especially if you don't like what's being produced.
Yeah, well, it's not that I don't like it.
It's not fantastic.
It's not fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
There's only room in this garden for fantastic vegetables.
Well, if I'm going to get out here and water every day and take care of these plants, I want something fantastic. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so that's that. Cucumbers, my second batch of cucumbers, they're doing pretty well. They got hit by the heat the past couple days, so I haven't trimmed them off yet. We've had rain every single day, but the heat and humidity, it's just stifling. And so the high heat, I lost a couple tips, which I have to come out and trim off. But the plants themselves are doing well. We've got some flowers over there. We'll see what happens. I think I'm going to plant another batch of cucumbers and then some zucchini. I looked up on the Clemson website, their educational site, and for fall planting for zucchini for our area, you're supposed to wait until August, end of August, which to me means they really don't like the heat of July and August. So I will wait a little bit before replanting them. And these are tomatoes.
Tomatoes, peppers.
Peppers, sorry. Peppers.
And none of them are fantastic.
No, and more peppers.
Well, these are the really stupidly hot peppers.
These are the sugar peach, sugar peach rush, and they are hot. Yeah.
And we're not hot pepper people.
No, unfortunately, because they grow so well. I like a little salsa occasionally, but that's about it. This is the little nursery area where it gets a little bit of shade. I have some tomato seedlings.
So you're trying to propagate some stuff?
Yeah, this needs water.
Looks like it's ready.
Yes, it is. It is.
I'm no gardener, but I think it's ready.
Yeah, that's basil. That's 3 weeks. 3 weeks worth of sitting in water. It needs some fresh water. And all I do, it's a crapshoot. Really, it's a crapshoot as far as starting plants. This is lavender, and I just put it into some organic potting soil. It's got a hole in the bottom. I set them in a tray so that the soil is constantly moist. Mm-hmm. And there are 2 ways you can do all of these. You can root them in water.
Which is what you did with the basil there.
Mm-hmm. Not to get off subject, but these are tomato cuttings, and these are just rooting in water.
Mm-hmm.
This is about a week and a half, I guess. According to what I read on the internet, some sources say that water roots, although prolific, are weaker than soil roots. I rooted some tomato cuttings in soil, and I'm rooting them in water. We'll see how they turn out. They root equally well. The same thing with the lavender. And here I have some artemisia, which I put in organic potting soil, hole in the bottom. And I had them in a tray for a little while just to make sure that the soil stayed moist. They're doing very well also.
So far you haven't seen a difference between the 2 methods?
Not in the actual rooting capability. Whether or not, I thought what I would try is to root them in soil that stays constantly wet.
Right.
So in essence, it's the same as rooting it in water, but it's actually in soil.
So you're combining the two techniques.
Basically. I guess
You're
basically.
putting them in soil, but they're always wet.
Right, right. And my theory is that once I start to see roots come out of here, I will know that they are all rooted. And then I can take this whole thing out and put it into a pot. And the adjustment period for the roots will be less.
I see.
It'll be easier for them to adjust to being in the soil because they were grown in soil.
But doing it just in water is easier for you because you can see when the roots are growing.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
But the theory is those roots are more fragile than the ones grown in soil.
They have trouble adjusting to the fact that instead of getting nutrients from the water, they now have to get nutrients from the soil. Now,
Okay.
again, this is just from what I read. So it may be different for different plants. It may be different for different people and their circumstances. I usually just stick things on a windowsill in a glass. But last time I did that with my rosemary, lavender, I read that they should be rooted in a dark container so that the sunlight cannot get to the roots.
To the roots. Okay.
And I will say that these appear much better. You know, some are rooting, some are not. And you can tell this has not rooted. It's not doing well. It's got nothing on it. But the others are still green. So I'm taking that as a sign that they are rooting or thinking about rooting. Still no roots on the bottom. So, like I say, this is probably the worst time in the world to do this, at least down here in coastal Carolina, because it is so hot. See, there's nothing there. I think I've got one out of this group. But like I said, it's a crapshoot. And whatever makes it, then I'll group them all together and put them in a pot. The best time, I believe, is spring and fall. Do it when you get to it and see what happens. I have nothing to lose. Have nothing to lose. Like you said, it's an experiment.
Let's go check out your tomatoes.
Okay.
The refurbished tomato room.
Yes. Second planting of the tomato room.
Phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Everything got pulled.
Yeah, everything got cut down. Now, in the fall, in the winter, I normally cut everything down to the ground and just let the roots sit in there and decompose over the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Same as composting. So I figure, why not? It'll add organic matter to the soil. But since I'm replanting, I pulled everything out. I have some plants here that are in.
This year hasn't been a good year for tomatoes.
No.
For anybody around here.
No. It has, it's been extremely hot and humid. We've had tremendous downpours.
It's just not good.
Yeah. I've got some planted, some already bit the dust, pulled them out. I planted some others in there. I have a few more to put in.
So you had planted 15 different varieties of tomatoes.
Originally, 3 of which were cherry tomatoes. So it's 12 varieties of slicing tomatoes.
And all of those tomatoes, did any of them make the cut? Any of them fantastic?
No.
Or they all kind of crappy?
It wasn't that they were crappy. It was that, oddly enough, they all tasted the same. And with all the rain that we had, a lot of them burst. Even the cherry tomatoes were bursting on the vine. They were bland because of all the water that they absorbed. A lot of them split. A lot of them rotted on the vine. There was just... I had a couple from Mortgage Lifter and Whopper that were good.
But not fantastic.
Not fantastic, no. No, not fantastic. So,
So the second planting that you've got going on now, you got anything new, or are they just repeats for what you had the first go round?
They're all new.
All new varieties.
All new varieties. They're all determinate varieties. I've got a couple dwarf tomatoes in there as well. I'm
Okay.
still on the search for that wow tomato.
Still searching for the fantastic tomato?
Yes, the fantastic tomato that grows in hot, humid, miserable coastal Carolina weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So
The search continues.
it does. It does.